I first saw it at a cycle show in 1952 and fell in love with it. It wasn't for sale.
Right.
And then saw it about 2 years later outside an Italian cafe with a sign on it, £25. And I just had to have it.
Did that seem a lot of money then?
It was all I had in the bank. I was saving up to get married, and my future in-laws didn't think much of that.
Right. But you say 1952 you first saw it. Have you tracked its history any more accurately than that?
Well, only that they were made during the war in Italy by two brothers, mainly because of the shortage of steel. In fact, it was almost non-existent for bicycle making. And one was a ski manufacturer, and the two of them got together and used their expertise to make wooden bicycles.
It's interesting you should say skis, because in fact, looking at it, my mind sees about 4 or 5 different technologies that went into making this bicycle.
Right.
You can see skis, as you say, you can see boat building, you can see aircraft building. All aircraft at that time were built of wood up until the Second War. Especially the propeller.
Yes.
Propellers were all laminated wood. The frame, starting here, coming all the way around, right through this extraordinary bend at the front, coming down the main tube, through the bottom bracket and ending here at the chainstay, is one piece of wood.
That's right. I mean, I measured it. It's 7 foot long if you laid it on the ground. Yes, it blows my mind to think the way this is all bent round and everything arrives in the right place, you know, for the head and...
That's right. Probably they didn't make the handlebars.
No, I should think handlebars and chain wheel and brakes, probably stock items.
Well, stock items, but everything else they made in-house, which is quite amazing, especially as they're doing it during the war.
Yeah, that's right.
But, as I say, they were doing it because they wanted to build a bicycle out of wood, because they couldn't build one out of anything else. But also they were in tune with developments in cycling at the time. Build a lighter, faster, better bicycle.
Yes.
I wonder if they achieved it. Have you ever seen another one of these?
I've only seen a frame on its own with no forks. And I have a feeling not many of these survive because of the weakness of the forks. If somebody
You think the forks are the weak point?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how we're going to compare a value, because I don't think there's another one of these around in this condition. I think a bare minimum of £2,000 to £3,000 for this bicycle. I think it is so rare and in such wonderful condition.
Yeah.
Could I indulge myself, please, and go for a spin?
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
This is Dutch, or to be more precise, it's Frisian.
That's what I was going to say. How do you know that? I'm supposed to tell you that.
Because my mother, to whom it belonged,
right.
Comes from an old Frisian family in Holland,
right.
and this was passed down to me after she died.
We're talking here about the 17th century,
yeah.
And this is a time when Holland was obviously a wealthy country. The tulips, of course, the famous tulips, until the early 17th century, were very expensive items.
Yeah.
The tulip bulbs made the Amsterdam traders very rich. Holland was a great seafaring nation at the time, and of course the farming was always very rich, but very, very provincial. I think it's difficult to imagine quite how provincial that would be.
The family were seafarers and merchants, in fact.
Right,
yes,
right.
For many generations, yeah.
And it probably would have taken quite a lot of money to buy a piece like this in the 17th century.
There's an awful lot of work gone into it. I mean,
well, there has. I mean, I
clear.
love the various mouldings here. I mean, you've got this one here, which was almost like a thumbnail, an overnail, like scale pattern really here, and then you've got a variation of it, like a sort of ripple moulding here, but all done by hand. This is not a machine. This is one man laboriously carving each little piece out like that, which I love. And I'm rather stuck here. I mean, this is sweet. The hearts. That's very nice indeed. So it may have been perhaps a marriage coffer.
Well, I was told that it was a marriage coffer, and that they had them at the foot of the bed for putting the linen in or something.
So in that case, we assume these are billing doves.
You know, I've never noticed the birds there. No, they are birds, aren't they?
Two amorous birds, two love birds, let's say, for the marriage chest.
And the date, would that be the date of it was made, or the date of the wedding, maybe, or something? Is that 1701 on there?
I think it's 1701. There's something about the cutting. I don't think it's the same hand. If you look really closely,
it's very crude.
Very crude and very, very deep compared with the subtlety of the rest of the carving. So it probably is later. You know, with these provincial pieces in any country, it's very difficult to date within 50 years. So, I could say 1650. It could be 1700. What's anything inside that's interesting?
I don't think particularly interesting. No.
It's fairly original. That's nice.
Is that a candle box at the end, or?
Candle box, yes, traditionally, and a lovely lock. Oh, it's a snap lock. Oh, that's a wonderful period. So that lock is 300 years old or so, and still working.
Should snap shut when you close that.
Let's just try. I think so. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yes. So heaven help you if you've taken the key out and you can't open it. It snaps locked, and that's it. but what a nice piece of furniture. Now, I suspect that you probably know more about the value of this than I do, because
No, I don't.
you haven't had it valued recently or anything.
No, not at all.
I think at auction in London, a pre-sale estimate of about £2,000 to £2,500.
Oh, that's nice.
And I think that would probably be bought by a Dutch person or a Dutch dealer
Right.
over to the Netherlands. I could see it in an Amsterdam shop for probably 5,000, something like that.
Oh, right. Well, this is nice to know.
It's a very early piece.
Yes, lovely.
And part of your history. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.